The X-Men Doomsday trailer officially releases, finally. Critics' Choice Award winners and losers. The Batman 2 courts Sebastian Stan. Avatar Fire and Ash clears $1 billion. And Simu Liu wants Melissa Barrera for Wonder Woman. All that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name's Matthew Carroll, and with me today we have Jay Sisson. What's happening, Jay?
Yeah, not too much. First show in 2026, right?
Oh,
I mean, well, kind of.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it's the second.
Yeah, we recorded it in 2025, but then it came to you in 2026. I mean, there's some logistics there, but
First time recording in 2026, and oh, it feels so different. We also have J. Scotty St. Clair. What's happening, bud?
Hey, it is my first official Multiverse News of 2026. Timey-wimey shenanigans be damned. So excited to be back in the saddle. Let's do this thing.
Good. Happy to have you, man. And Haley Hobbs.
What's up?
Not much. Well, we have a 5-star review. ZPN 810 says, everyone, let's give the crew a round of applause for everything that they do. I wake up excited every Wednesday morning knowing that there is a pod waiting for me to listen to. I really appreciate the news that's given to us by you all and can't wait for more. Since I'm the question guy, I got another one for you. What franchise or series made you a super fan of a character? For me, it was the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, even though I was born in 2001. Thank you again, everyone.
It's a good question.
What do you guys think? What's a series or franchise that made you a big fan of a specific character?
I'm going to go with the basic approach and tackle the MCU because I was always like a fan of Captain America. I liked him by and large, but I always kind of like set him off in this category that he's like goody two-shoes, a little campy, and the way that the MCU and Chris Evans were able to make him feel like a palpable, realistic, rootable character just made me fall in love with the character so much. It's one of the few characters across the entire MCU that has, induced multiple emotional reactions, including goosebumps, tears, what have you. I'm
going to jump on your answer because you stole mine, okay. and just say, yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. The thing about that character is he's just so freaking sincere, and so much of everything that had led up to that with comic book movies was, how can we make this a comic book movie, but kind of not let it be, and sometimes something about setting it in the 40s and making it World War II gives them this ability to just make him this like very sincere character. And I think that sincerity, like just, permeates his entire run in the MCU in a way that like so many characters are, especially before the MCU started, they're sort of like tongue-in-cheek, too cool for school, too cool to wear yellow, whatever, he is Captain America. And I just love that character so much.
For me, it was definitely reading. I know like Harry Potter was the first one for me. I think I started that first book in 6th grade. And then just knowing that there was another one coming out like every year, that was like sort of a light bulb moment of like, there's a continuation of a story, there's a continuation of characters and type thing. And then speaking of 2001, in 2001, the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring movie came out, and I had never read Lord of the Rings or didn't know anything about it. And I remember I was at some kind of it was like a lock-in or something like that. I would have been pretty young in 2001, like middle school. And I remember it was late at night. Everybody was like, oh, we're going to put on a movie before we go to bed. It was like 2 a.m. or something. They put on Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. Everybody passes out. And I remember just sitting there by myself watching the TV screen for the entire movie. I mean, it was like 4 a.m. by the time that it was finally the credits were rolling. Because I was just like so into it. It was something I'd never seen before. I was really invested. So I went out, read the book. I hadn't been like super into reading, and it really kind of got me into it and then the idea of stories. And then realize like, wait, there's more. There's a second book. There's a third book, and just kind of like, I don't know. That's just kind of a memorable thing of like, yeah, like that was where it was. I know it's not a movie franchise in the sense of, at the time it was still ongoing. The Two Towers and Return of the King were not out in theaters or anything like that yet. But at the time it was a book franchise, to me. And so to kind of go through and just be like, oh man, like I get to continue with these characters, and there's a cliffhanger, and you get to kind of go to the next thing. That was a big moment. I think like that put me on a track to just be interested in stories, and it was a gateway to other things that came down the line that I like to watch. It was definitely like a fork in the road moment. I think where it was like, yeah, you're into stuff now. You're into stuff like this, and so yeah, I'll always kind of hold the Lord of the Rings up as, man, that got me into movies. It got me into books. Like it really got me into stories in general. I think
it's cool.
I will go Star Wars and zero in on Ahsoka Tano, who's my favorite character now in Star Wars. And COVID is when I deep dived into Clone Wars animated series and Rebels and all of this stuff, simply because Moff Gideon held up the Darksaber at the end of season 1 of The Mandalorian. And I was like, what is that? I gotta know what that is. And like, it sent me down this path. But what I love about her, and I love Rosario Dawson's take on her in live action as an older Ahsoka. She weathers all these things as a young woman, a young person, and she doesn't follow Anakin's path. She chooses her own, and she chooses to walk away from him as her mentor and her teacher. And even though that makes a dark time for her, she finds a way to lift herself out of it by doing the opposite of what he did, which was going towards people she loves instead of away from them. And so I love her character. I'm so glad we're getting more of her.
That's a great one. I really liked that. I did the same thing, not after the Darksaber, but prior to Obi-Wan, I wanted to like catch up on Clone Wars. And I went back and got to know Ahsoka. And yeah, and the Ahsoka show is so good. All right, well, let's get into our stories for this week. As has become par for the course these last few weeks, Marvel Studios released the third Avengers Doomsday trailer, which focuses on the X-Men. Tuesday morning, after an exclusive week run attached to theatrical showings of Avatar: Fire and Ash, we've waited long enough. Let's talk about it. Was this third X-Men-focused trailer uncanny or astonishing in our eyes?
It was astonishing in my eyes because this was one of the few times I avoided leaks, so I didn't get any of those uncanny AI enhanced versions of the trailer. But this one was an exercise in kind of patience and not expectation, but hype for me, because with the way the first two were rolled out, I felt like leaked versions, or even me going to the theater the first couple of weeks Avatar: Fire and Ash was out, it was a little more accessible. This one I really felt like the weight and the hype building up around it. And I was seeing reactions and hearing descriptions, but staying pretty stalwart about not giving in to watch a leaked version of it. And I finally saw it actually ahead of the Tuesday morning release. I actually had one lingering friend who hadn't seen Avatar, so I agreed to go see it with them, but I did leave after the trailer for that one. I said, I will go with you, but I will not stay for the entire thing. I think I made it like 45 minutes into Avatar: Fire and Ash, because that opening sequence is pretty thrilling. But I could not, I won't say suffer, but I could not endure another 3 hours and 15 minutes of that film. So, to talk about the content of the trailer, this was my favorite of the three pretty easily. I recall when I talked about the Cap trailer, it was one of those things that it was good and emotionally resonant, as was the Thor one, but it felt like a little bit of a missed opportunity because it was like the best kept secret that we all knew that Cap was going to be in this movie, or Steve Rogers, I should say. Chris Evans returning as Steve Rogers here. But this one, I feel a little hypocritical because we knew the X-Men were going to be featured heavily in this film, but for whatever reason, this just really worked for me, knowing that Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, who are actors that I've been watching on the screen my entire life. Like you mentioned the Lord of the Rings there, Jay, at the top of the show. Like Ian McKellen is, between Magneto, Gandalf, so many roles, he is just this iconic figure. And to know that he's reaching the end of his tenure, like I think the reports have been pretty widely confirmed that this is going to be Patrick Stewart's final portrayal on film. And I know with the character of Charles Xavier specifically, we already went through that with Logan, but we've already long crossed that bridge. So I found even though it was kind of a subdued light on the action until the final sequences there, just the conversation between Xavier and Magneto, these friends and foes that we've seen in so many iterations. But I will say, for my purposes, these actors are the go-to de facto version of the characters for me. So to have all that build the tension, and then to have finally Cyclops, who we just had in X-Men 97, we saw this is what this guy can do. This guy that's always been maligned as this Boy Scout, goody two-shoe, leader, kind of a wet blanket, to see how awesome and capable he can be in that animated show, and to get just the smallest snippet of James Marsden returning and all of the emotion on his face. And I like James Marsden, but I will say, given his career, he's vacillated between some pretty shallow roles and some meteor roles that showcase his chops and whatnot. But those 10 seconds or whatever we got of him unleashing the optic blast there was all I needed to be all in on the X-Men's inclusion in this trailer. Because I will say, as excited as I am for Doomsday, it felt like a little bit like we talked a lot about the Robert Downey Jr., casting, whether or not that's stunt casting or not. But I did kind of feel like the inclusion of the X-Men and the Fox characters was a little bit of a reaction to the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, I don't think that was originally a part of the plan for Doomsday, maybe in a smaller capacity, given what we saw at the end of the Marvels with Beast being there. But yeah, I've said enough here. This was my favorite of the trailers. Super excited for the X-Men, and particularly for Scott Summers as Cyclops there. And I'm hoping that they're not going to repeat X-Men Last Stand and show us him going out in a blaze of glory. Fool me once.
We talked a couple weeks ago about how a lot of the Avengers Doomsday movie is being shot on real sets and built in, trying to avoid the use of the green screen as much as possible. And you can feel that a lot in this trailer. I felt like this looked like a real set, and it looked good, and it had the cinematography looked better than what we're used to. And I think like the Russos maybe got the message a little bit about the shot, because it was the dialogue was great. It was very dramatic. It was a cool shot. It looked like it was a real on-set location, and that really came through. And it got me thinking, I'm excited for it, but it got me thinking like, man, why did we not get an X-Men movie with these people returning when Disney bought the property in the first place? I mean, I know we got Deadpool and Wolverine, which is sort of kind of supposed to, I guess, in some way be a send-off for the Foxverse or something like that. But I kind of felt like, man, we might have benefited from that if we're going to kind of move into Doomsday with these characters being some sort of a key part of the machine in some respect. Man, what would it have been like if we had Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James Marsden, all of these characters brought back for a movie set in whatever timeline we're in, with all their original costumes that they have here and stuff like that. I mean, that movie I think would have been very successful and maybe would have set us up a little bit for some of this. And it's kind of something we've talked about with these trailers that just really got me thinking. And I love the trailer, but I just kind of walked away thinking like, man, how are we going to get all these characters to work? It's like, it's because this trailer felt a lot different to me than the Evans one and the Hemsworth one. And it was supposed to feel a little different, but you've almost got a trailer feeling like a different movie. So I think on one hand, you look at it and you say, man, we've got Chris Evans, we've got Chris Hemsworth, we've got the X-Men, we've got all these characters. That's awesome. That's cool. It's going to do what Doomsday's meant to do. But I think on the other hand, we talked about it last week, and we talked about this question, like, how is this movie going to balance, and will it do it well, balance all of these characters and not either make it feel overcrowded or make it not make sense, or just have half of them be cannon fodder or whatever in the first 10 minutes and just get blown off the screen or whatever, and then we're moving on. How are we going to manage all of these pockets and corners that are going to have to somehow converge? So that's still the biggest question I have, and I think that question is just going to continue, because the next trailer we're going to get, more characters are brought into the fold, and here's some more that are going to be in Avengers Doomsday, and they're going to return too. And it just keeps making me wonder, like, how have the Russos patched this together, and will it make sense, and will it flow? And hopefully it does. But I still have a lot of questions there about how all of these pieces are going to fit together with really not a whole lot of lead up or character work done to get to this point since Avengers Endgame, right? And what is that going to look like?
I hear you. I think there's definitely could have been a place for that, like a movie like that to lead into this. But at the same time, I think the sort of absence makes the heart grow fonder is kind of working on us a little bit here. Because I think like we had all gotten a little tired of how mishandled the universe was with Fox. Like, it had some amazing casting and it had some really great stuff in there, some really fun movies, but like the timelines never made sense. You never knew what was going on. These some of the movies were just straight up bad. And the one thing that this trailer is showing me is like they did not know what to do with Cyclops all that time, and this one looks like they're really going to make Cyclops a hero. Just that single shot in this trailer is like everything I've been missing from Cyclops. Like him really having his power and his like sort of rage that it looks like something bad has happened to his team, you know, and like I just imagine him being like rageful because something happened to his team. You see all the Sentinels in the background. So I'm excited to finally get that character done right. So I think there's something to the fact that we just haven't seen these guys in a while, and now they're coming back, and that feels really good. And I think just in general, something we've been talking about in our Infinity Saga rewatch over on the MCU cast is the idea of these like sort of legacy characters, or these sort of icon characters we have: Iron Man, Hulk, I would say Spider-Man, Captain America. There's sort of these ones that we have all grown up with and have the iconography is important to us. You know what I mean? And there are characters I like that are newer. Like I love Kamala Khan, but like her iconography doesn't have the same like emotional core to me. When I see that like symbol that's on her chest or whatever, like it doesn't resonate with me because I didn't grow up looking at that symbol as like a symbol of a thing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And I think the X-Men are one of the only other groups of characters that have that same thing for people like us who grew up on X-Men comics and cartoons, and seeing that one shot of him in the blue and yellow costume hitting an optic blast into the air is just like so evocative of my childhood. And it's like, I've never seen it done that well. It looks awesome. I am so ready. And of course, seeing Charles and Eric like touching hands and having that relationship they've always had and playing chess, like just these are icons from my childhood, and I'm just excited to see them done right, hopefully, in this movie.
My biggest takeaway was the complete tonal shift in this trailer from the other two. The other two are kind of hopeful. We've got Cap with a baby, presumably his. We didn't talk about how it could be not his baby, but presumably his baby with Peggy. You never know. He's a
baby thief now.
He's a baby thief. And then Thor, praying to win this battle so that he can continue his life and teach love. And so this one's completely different. It's dark. It's got this, haunting monologue, and yeah, like you're saying, you're the only one who's touched on it really, Matt, is that Cyclops is in pain. He's angry. So I wonder if the next one's going to follow suit, and will that lead us to a potentially even darker trailer at the Super Bowl? That would be cool.
Yeah. I just want him to keep doing this. Let's just get one a week for the rest of the year.
Not if it means we're starting Multiverse News.
I mean, with the amount of characters, you do one on each of the Thunderbolts.
I really feel like
you do one on each of the Fantastic Four. Like, we're 8 weeks in already.
Fantastic Four and the oversaturation of that marketing.
No, it'd be perfect. Just do it. Just like overdo it. Give us a different character every week. And
give us nothing, Marvel.
Commit to the bit,
commit to the bit. And don't make it things from the movie.
The bit of nothing.
Don't make it things from the movie. Give us like 1 minute of every character that you shot just specifically for the trailer, so we're not being spoiled. We're just like, get little bits.
Yes, girl, give us nothing.
Yeah, no, I want everything.
No, that's the thing. Like, you like give somebody something, but you're like not really giving that much. That's like what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's true.
I think if I'm not mistaken, we have one more character trailer, I think, that's supposed to play in front of Avatar Fire and Ash next week. And then I believe we get an actual trailer after that. I think that's what we've heard. So wow. We should be kind of coming to a place of a little bit more of a reveal, probably, of Downey and all of that, I would say, within the next couple weeks.
It's our Spotify poll this week, so I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but who do you guys think the next trailer will focus on?
Oh, I'm already in these spoilers. I've already seen
all
this.
This one I've actually
already seen it.
So, yeah.
Come on, these eyes can't avoid those leaks.
It's got to be a female actor?
Nah.
not looking at you because I don't want to give anything. I don't want to be accused of giving anything away.
What I was gonna say.
Just tease it. Yeah, you're probably right. That's a good call.
I mean, I hope.
It does say it's
a lot of big dude energy in these trailers so far.
It's very sausage festy right now.
Yeah, Doomsday sausage fest happening.
Hey, this one's for the boys. Doomsday, it's for the boys.
Let's hear it for the boys.
Big frat party energy.
Yeah, I was glad this one kind of broke up the theme we'd been seeing of just parenthood. Like, I was a little worried that was going to be all 4 trailers. And I'm glad this one wasn't that. Although, who knows why he's angry?
Hey,
you know what I mean? He
took
could have
his
lost a kid.
Yep.
Maybe they took his kid. Yeah. Never mind.
That's the real baby snatcher here is Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom. I mean, we've already seen him snatching one kid. He hasn't even been in a movie yet.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that. We talked about this on the MCU cast a little bit. That might be the plot, is he's going to get these babies.
I've seen that theory.
I've seen that theory too, like collecting babies like Infinity Stones.
He steals the stolen baby from Cap.
The Russos are like, listen, here's the pitch, and like no one in the room can tell them no. They're like, well, they're the Russo brothers. What are we supposed to do?
Like, we don't see it, but like, you know, you guys did Endgame. Surely this David Bowie playing
balk at that
Doom
theory at first because we've been talking so much about the young Avengers. It kind of feels like baby Avengers, right? But thinking back to what what Kevin Feige said after Deadpool and Wolverine, he said anchor beings is going to be an important thing. So I could see if he's plucking, anchor beings at the beginning of their life. That could be a potential there.
Absolutely. And like Love, you could absolutely see Love being an anchor being.
Oh, sure.
And like, let's say Cap's child is an anchor being. Technically, depending on who you listen to, the writers, the directors, he could be in a different universe because it's been talked about whether he was in the 616 or not. And the directors and the writers disagree about that. So like, if he's in a different universe, his kid could be the anchor being for that universe. And then let's say Scott Summers' kid is the anchor being from his universe,
So it is just Infinity Stones as babies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Worked the first time.
Punching people with a glove full of babies.
The 2 interns are like having lunch after the meeting, and they're like, I didn't want to say anything in there, but like that was kind of whack, right? They're like, yeah, I wanted to say something too, but I can't say anything to the Russos.
I wonder how many of those happen. Like, how many movies are made where there are people that are just going like, because we always talk about like, how did this
Spielberg,
happen?
What are we supposed to say?
Right. Like, well, it's like all those, friggin' Sony movies or whatever, where we're like watching Sony Marvel and we're like, how did they even do this? Like, this isn't even the character. Like, they went so off the rails. There's got to be somebody in the room that knows and is just not saying anything.
Yeah. Think about the writer's room for Madam Web.
Not enough.
What was that conversation like?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. If you want to see, we did a frame by frame, by the way, over on the MCU cast. That should be available when this drops. You can go to youtube.com and watch that. youtube.com/strandedpanda, not just YouTube. It won't be the first thing.
Okay. We made it
but
to the
enough
homepage.
of you go, and it will be.
That's true. Enough. Actually, if everyone that listens to this podcast goes and watches it on YouTube, it might affect it a little bit. And likes and comments. That's true. If everyone goes and likes and comments, it'll make a difference.
We worship at the feet of the algorithm.
That's right. We welcome our algorithm overlords. All right, here we go with the next story. Sebastian Stan is in talks to join the Batman Part 2 opposite Robert Pattinson and Scarlett Johansson, making him the second Marvel Cinematic Universe alum to join Matt Reeves Gotham. The Oscar-nominated Apprentice star, best known for playing Bucky Barnes, a.k.a. the Winter Soldier, in multiple Marvel films, would join returning cast members Colin Farrell, Jeffrey Wright, and Andy Serkis ahead of spring production for an October 2027 release. With online speculation swirling that Harvey Dent could be the sequel's villain, will Stan bring Two-Face to life, or is Reeves cooking up something entirely different for the MCU transplant?
First of all, I love this. Sebastian Stan has had such an interesting career arc and such a successful career arc, and to get nominated for an Oscar, to have the run that he's had in the MCU and all of the small projects that he's done along the way. he's just been in a lot of interesting things. And the idea that he could be playing Harvey Dent, I think, is perfect. Like, I think that would be perfect casting for someone like Sebastian Stan. Now, it does make me wonder about if this means anything for his role in Marvel going forward, because I'm thinking about when this movie's going to shoot and when Avengers Secret Wars are going to shoot, and they're going to shoot basically around the same time on different continents, on different parts of the world. And it's kind of got me wondering, like, is Bucky gonna be in Avengers Secret Wars? If he's already kind of lining up these projects to do, these other franchises to do, is he gonna have a role? Is he gonna make it out of Doomsday? Maybe not, right? And I think there's some speculation to be done there. But overall, it's still wild to think that the Batman 2 is a year and basically 10 months away, basically 2 years away, before we'll get to see it. And we've been talking about it so much. But the idea of Sebastian Stan and Scarlett Johansson being together on screen as villains and having that sort of Dent relationship played out on screen, I think it's perfect. I think it's great casting, and the cast of this movie just continues to look better and better. So, yeah, I mean, I've been excited about the Batman 2 since the credits rolled on the Batman, but as we've kind of learned more and more about it, and with the addition of Sebastian Stan, like, it just continues to be one of, I mean, again, we're talking about 2027, but it continues to be kind of, I mean, one of the most anticipated movies, I think, coming up, especially in this type of genre of movie. So, great casting. Can't wait to hear who he's playing. I hope it's Harvey Dent, but yeah, Matt Reeves, he's cooking right now.
I like this casting a lot. I'm going to be distracted by these two being like my MCU characters jumping over. It reminds me of every time I watch, is it Batman v Superman, where you see the two Walking Dead actors, Lauren Cohen and Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, they play
Bruce and Martha.
Why would you forget that name?
Know that name? Why did you say that name? As much as we're laughing at it, I love that scene. The only one. But no, I love that. It always distracts me every time because I'm like, those are Walking Dead characters, and they have a very different relationship in The Walking Dead. And like, why did you do that to me? Like, I feel distracted by this every single time, and I feel like I'm going to be a little distracted by the Bucky and Natasha being two important characters.
They'll mess up half his face, and you won't notice.
That's
who's
true.
That guy?
Fair. Change her hair color, mess up half his face. I won't even know.
I like it. I know they're looking to cast the father and the son, so I don't, Sebastian Stan is not going to be the father opposite Scarlett Johansson, obviously, so it is looking pretty likely, but he could also be somebody we don't know. He could be somebody from Wayne Enterprises that we haven't really seen yet in this universe or something like that. I wouldn't mind them together, though, because I would kind of like it. He shoots her out in Odessa, and then they're married. It's just poetic.
Yeah, I like the casting too, but I guess just to be devil's advocate or a little bit of a dissenter, offer a different opinion here. I recall a couple of weeks back when we were talking about Man of Tomorrow and the casting of Brainiac as a relative unknown. I kind of put out there like, yeah, it would have been nice to get someone like Sam Rockwell or some of the other names like Matt Smith that were bandied about, but I think they ran the risk of David Corenswet kind of being outshone by a character or an actor like that. And Robert Pattinson is a great actor. He's got a lot of range, has done a lot of different things, but this kind of, it feels the same to me on some extent. And The Dark Knight is arguably one of the best, maybe the best Batman movie ever put to film. But as much as I like it, it's not my favorite. I always go to Batman Begins. That's more of a definitive Batman Bruce Wayne story for me. And that's why I go to Batman. As much as I love his villains, I'm about Batman. And I feel like Heath Ledger kind of took The Dark Knight away from Christian Bale and the character of Batman in a lot of ways. And maybe they're setting themselves up for something similar here. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the intention. I could totally see that. And I think on this very podcast, we've speculated about what if Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face hadn't been killed off in that scene. And the bigger conversation is obviously Heath Ledger because he passed away, unfortunately. So we never got to see what they wanted to do with that third film with Joker at the helm and possibly Two-Face. But this does feel like if Sebastian Stan is playing Two-Face, I could see it taking that trajectory that we're talking about here. Like really have Bruce and Harvey be like friends and work together in this film and maybe be mired a little bit by the ongoings of Gilda, and then you have the downfall towards the end, and that builds to a third film here. But all that being said, I cannot deny the talents and the ability of Sebastian Stan, and I think looking at him compared to so many of his Marvel counterparts and compatriots there, with Scarlett Johansson kind of being the exception. Well, I say that, but she has definitely delved into her cash grabs, for lack of a better term, with like stuff like Jurassic World Rebirth and what have you. But Sebastian Stan, with what we're mentioning here, The Apprentice, A Better Man, the Craig Gillespie film that I, Tonya, he has done a really good job of carving out a niche and creating an identity that is separate from Bucky in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I look at Chris Evans, who's coming back to play Cap in Doomsday here, and it feels like, not to compare them, because that's not necessarily what needs to be done. People can have their different careers and do what makes them happy. But I would argue, just objectively looking at an actor and their trajectory and their ability, I would argue that Sebastian Stan has done a better job of navigating the industry and selecting roles and finding an audience outside of the MCU. So all that being said, is the potential there to be incredibly distracted by some of our Marvel mainstays appearing in a Matt Reeves Batman? Totally. But I have a lot of faith and a lot of confidence in the people behind the cameras as well in front of the cameras. Like look at the list here: Colin Farrell, Jeffrey Wright, Andy Serkis. These are guys that have popped up in multiple franchises, but they're still able to disappear into the roles and whatever the franchise is. I never feel like I'm looking at that person rather than the character that they're inhabiting. And I feel like everybody on this team is operating at the caliber that it will be the same here. So yeah, whether he's playing Harvey Dent, I still kind of hope that he'll be Hush. Maybe he's a little bit too old to play Hush, but we will see.
Did you say Bat Reeves on purpose?
Probably.
I wasn't sure if you said Bat Reeves on purpose or meant to say Matt Reeves. But I like it. I like just calling it Bat Reeves. Calling him Bat Reeves. All right.
Let's go with it.
Let's go on to the next story. Avatar Fire and Ash crossed the $1 billion mark at the global box office after 18 days in theaters, led by $40 million domestically in its third weekend, for a total of $306 million and $777.1 million internationally, making it Disney's third billion-dollar release of 2025. Meanwhile, Netflix's Stranger Things series finale generated between $25 to $28 million from a limited 2-day theatrical run across 600 theaters on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, with exhibitions selling concession vouchers rather than traditional tickets and keeping all revenue themselves as an olive branch between the streamer and theaters. With 2026 kicking off strong and pacing 26.5% ahead of 2025's box office, can Fire and Ash maintain the holiday legs to reach the $2 billion club, or will Netflix's pending Warner Brothers acquisition and growing theatrical experiments reshape how we define box office success?
Well, first of all, Jay, sorry, you were wrong. Avatar made $1 billion. It is what it is.
I didn't.
We take our lumps when we have to take them.
Somebody roll the tape.
You said you didn't think it would make $1 billion.
No, I think I don't know. I thought I said 2, but maybe I don't know. Sometimes I just say stuff. So
last week though, you too. Sometimes I just say things and I don't know what I'm saying.
That's true.
Last week I did say, is this Netflix's tiptoe into the water of doing a wider release? And I will say, my coworker today, she's like, oh, we went to see Stranger Things at the theater. I may live in the biggest city in Kansas, but it's not one that Netflix stuff usually comes to. That told me a lot about what I needed to know, and this confirms it. They're testing the waters of, can we release our stuff in more than, because usually they do this in a very small group of, it's not very many at all. And so if they're coming to Wichita, Kansas, that means they're testing the waters, in my opinion. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm vindicated. They are trying to see if they can make this happen. And I think they're going to try to make it happen in a way that is not traditional movie theater experience. And so it's very interesting. I know we hate the merger, and I'm not saying we don't, but it's probably going to happen. And so seeing what their strategies are going to adapt to is, to me, it's very fascinating, because I was showing my husband the Doomsday trailers. He hadn't seen any of them. God bless his algorithm. It's spoiler free. And he was like, I don't watch trailers anymore.
Green
and I was
flag.
like, I didn't know you didn't watch trailers. I wouldn't have shown them to you. And he's like, no, I don't mind. He's like, but they give everything away. And I said, well, it's because they've been trying to get people to go to the movies. And he was like, oh. And I said, I just think this year's going to be different. And I just have this feeling about it. And then I sent Jay a reel earlier today, like all the movies coming out in 2026. It was real hype. Like I was like, this is something the studios and the theater should be putting out to promote 2026 film going because it's really cool. And so Avatar, whatever, do your thing. James Cameron, nobody cares except for the people who saw it, I guess. And
A
yeah,
lot of people.
let's go 2026. I want to put 2025 behind me.
There was a report in Deadline last week talking about the box office, or maybe it was this week, but they talked about how sources, the writer said sources had kind of been talking in Hollywood about how Netflix, despite the fact that they have publicly commented, Ted Sarandos has publicly commented and said they want to commit to the theatrical release and all that type of stuff, that the industry is maybe realizing that Netflix's definition of what a theatrical release is different than everybody else's. And so the source had told the writer of this article on Deadline that wrote about the box office that he believes that Netflix's vision is that they would want to run their films, the films out of Warner Brothers and from Netflix, for only 17 days in theaters before putting them on Netflix, which again is kind of a industry shaking sort of comment because most movie theaters are going to want at least 45 as your window to be able to run a movie. So yeah, there's still a lot of unanswered questions there. We talk about that. We're going to be talking about it all year, from the buyout to the can the merger get approved to the okay, if it's approved and when, then what happens now. And so there's still a lot to be written about that. But the industry's talking a lot about what does the future look like. You've got a lot of movies, and not all of them are Warner Brothers, of course. I mean, I think you've still got you've got studios like Disney have a lot of these and all that. But you look ahead at some of these movies coming out. I mean, the ones that are from Warner Brothers, your DCs, your Clayfaces, your Dunes, these types of franchises and things like that. What does that mean if you're looking at shorter theatrical release windows? And will that cause people to want to go or not? I think they probably won't. I think they'd probably just be more apt to wait for this to watch it on the service that they're already subscribed to. And I think that's the fear. So yeah, a lot up in the air in 2026. You can't deny the slate. I mean, the slate looks great. But there's still a lot of industry shifting to happen over the next handful of years here when you're talking about what does a traditional theatrical release window even look like 5 years from now.
Yeah, I made it to my local AMC a total of 3 times this weekend. And did I see the Stranger Things series finale a single time? No, I didn't. But I got to give the win to Netflix. I saw a lot of people at my local theater. It looked healthy. It looked robust. It was nice to see. And I found myself contemplating a little bit. As much as I have kind of been a naysayer when it comes to Netflix and this acquisition, again, I don't think there are any winners. Paramount is not, the lesser evil by much of a margin at all to me. I realize, how hyperbolic and black and white reactions can be, and oftentimes the truth is somewhere in the middle. So yeah, while Sarandos's comments don't entirely evoke confidence in me with him talking about 17-day release windows and maybe less if the film is not, a big hit or have a lot of eyes on it, I do think that they're wise enough and they've conducted themselves smart enough in a business sense that they can adapt. If it makes sense to keep something in theaters and drive that interest and keep the zeitgeist and the conversation going, I think they're kind of beholden to that. So it somewhat mitigates some of the fears and hesitations I have about the theatrical experience going by the way of the dodo. But all that to say, I did break down a little bit, with the holidays happening and being gifted some things here and there. I got myself a Netflix gift card, and that was primarily to watch Wake Up Dead Man, which I loved. It might be my favorite of the trilogy, but I also saw K-pop Demon Hunters, and we talked a lot about that on the show. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It does deserve all the hype, the praise. The songs are super, super catchy. I was a little surprised how surface level the story was. And again, that's where you just have to come back to the fact that this is a kid's movie, universal appeal. lowest common denominator. But just with all the praise and the hype and stuff like that surrounding it, I thought there might be a little bit more in the characters and the story to hook adults a little bit. But that all being said, will I keep Netflix once my gift card has run out? Not very likely, but they're making a little bit of a case here.
I did go to the theater to see Stranger Things. The gift card thing was really interesting. You paid $20 to see the movie, which was expensive. It's $20 just flat. There wasn't that wasn't with 3D or anything like that. It was $20, but then they gave you a $20 voucher for your concessions. And so it was basically the ticket itself was free. And that was the thing, like Netflix put this in theaters and let the theaters make all the money from concessions, which is cool. But it also, as much as like you're saying, Haley, like I do think they're experimenting, like with K-pop Demon Hunters and this, obviously. It's also weird because they didn't make money on this one. You know what I mean? Like they weren't, and that's part of Netflix's whole model is they're never really trying to make money. They're just trying to be the only game in town, and they're trying to grow and grow and grow and consume more stuff. And eventually, yeah, I don't love that model in general. Because generally what happens once you reach that monopoly place where you own everything, the quality drops. You know what I mean? In shitification, they call it. So, I really enjoyed Stranger Things. It was great. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people are talking about all the plot holes, and I disagree with most of them. I think it was all good. It's a good flick. They could have thrown a few little exposition lines in there to explain a few things, but I think most of it's pretty headcanonable. But yeah, this is cool to see that many people out at the theater and that many people getting concessions. Like they were out of everything because every person coming in was spending $20 at the concession stand. And every theater in my whole town that was running Stranger Things, they were running it like every 30 minutes, and all the seats were taken. It was really hard to get a seat. So cool. That's good for theaters, I guess, this weekend at least.
We'll take it.
In the short run. All right. Well, when we get back, we have James Wan down to direct Avatar, Amazon's Tomb Raider pluses up cast, and Mayor of Kingstown announces its end. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We have a Patreon, you guys. Patreon.com/Multiverse Newscast, and Jay Sisson is going to tell you all about it.
Hey, it's $4 a month. I mean, come on. In this economy, $4 a month. I mean, all these other shows are asking you for 10 or whatever, or 15. We're not going to give you a $20 gift card or anything, but still, $4 goes a long way. It supports our show. You get ad-free access to all these episodes. You can stick them right into your podcast player. You don't even have to go to another player. It'll download without the ads right onto your device. You get to access live streams after we take them down when we do them. Sometimes we do a little bit of extra stuff over there, like polls and questions and things like that. But at the end of the day, you get to help make the sausage, as they say, and see how the sausage is made. And
the sausage fest, as
you can't
it were.
put a price on that.
Different kind of sausage.
Different sausage fest. Our Patreon is a sausage fest. Not really. You can't put a price on it. No, you can put a price on it. It's $4. And if you want to join, it's patreon.com/multiverse newscast. And you get to be an invaluable part of the show and the show's community and the fabric of what makes the network the network. So if you have the means and that's something that you want to commit to, just head on over there and join whenever you can.
Sweet. And our patron of the week is Net. Thank you so much, Net, for being a patron and supporting the show.
Nothing but Net. Nothing
but it. That's right. All right, guys. We have a Spotify poll for this week. I asked who will be the fourth who will be in the fourth Doomsday teaser trailer. 58% of you said Doom. 23% of you said Fantastic Four. 8% of you said Doctor Strange. 4% of you said Scott Lang. 2% of you said Bruce Banner. 2% of you said Wanda. And we got no Carol Danvers takers.
That's so funny. Like, of all of those, I'd say either Carol or the Fantastic Four make the most sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not Doom, which I don't think it will if they're dropping a full teaser.
Yeah, I've been thinking Doom might make the most sense because, you've got these 3 hero trailers, and then it's a time for, like, our little bit of background on who Doom is, what is Doom, because it still feels like that's really lacking. But, I don't know, maybe they just go with the 4 hero trailers, and then we wait till that big trailer.
Well, as someone who has seen the 4th leaked trailer, I have to tell you, it's Madison. She-Hulk, making her glorious return.
With a Y, but not where you think.
That's the one.
All right, well, we're going to move on to our lightning round. This is where I'm going to read a story, and then one of us will shout out our name to claim the story, and we will respond to it. But once per lightning round, if you just cannot resist a rebuttal, you get 1 rebuttal per lightning round. Here we go. Simu Liu has publicly endorsed his Copenhagen Test co-star Melissa Barrera to play Wonder Woman in James Gunn's DC Universe, praising her stunt training as Wonder Woman-esque and calling her a total badass who puts in the work. DC Studios boss James Gunn confirmed in July that Wonder Woman has not been cast yet and won't be discussed until the script is finished, with Supergirl screenwriter Anna Nogueira tapped to write the new Wonder Woman film.
Yeah, Simu Liu seems like a really good guy and a likable guy and a genuine guy. And, I got to give him props for being a good co-star and co-worker and supporting his co-star in this way. But I got to be realistic. I think this is very, very unlikely in him just kind of talking to talk. Like, looking at Melissa Barrera's career, and I like Melissa Barrera a lot. I think she's pretty talented. But given her connection to the Scream franchise and the fact that she will not be appearing in Scream 7, and some of the roles she's chosen since then, not a content argument that I'm making here, but just like how many eyes have they gotten and how much traction do they get. I think she's a star whose flame is slowly cooling, which I do think is a shame, but I just think it makes it pretty unlikely that DC would want to scoop her up at this juncture. But all that being said, I'm trying not to let my own fan cast, paint my expectations here, but I've been on record. Monica, now I can't even think of her name. Monica Barrena, I think it is, who was in Top Gun Maverick, as well as the Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown. She played Joan Baez in that film, and she's been my fan cast for Wonder Woman ever since I saw her in that. But I think I would prefer an unknown to Melissa Barrera in this instance. Not to say anything against her talent. She's a badass. Like Simu Liu says, she could definitely inhabit the role, and depending on what direction they take it, just I kind of have a hard time envisioning her in the role at this point in time.
Tiny bit. I've watched 4 episodes of the Copenhagen Test, and it's good, but she's not the reason that it's good. No offense. Whatever, her name is Melissa.
You mentioned it at the top. That Simu Liu is a nice guy, and like I think this is just such a nice thing to do for him. Like when you're on a press tour and you're trying to pump your thing up, your most recent thing up, but also yourself up, it's just very, very generous to be like, let me start a headline about my co-star that I like. You know what I mean? Like, and putting her name in front of everybody. It's just very, very generous thing to do.
I should remind the listeners at this point that I do have longstanding beef with Simu Liu for ruining the season finale of The Mandalorian season 3.
That's right.
At 6 a.m. the day that it came out. So just need to put that back out there. Nice guy, but it's not. I haven't forgotten.
That's how it always
rough around
goes
the
when you talk about nice guys.
It's so funny.
People don't forget.
Such beef. Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another dominated the Critics' Choice Awards on Sunday night, winning Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay, with Timothée Chalamet, while Timothée Chalamet won Best Actor for Marty Supreme, and Jessie Buckley took Best Actress for Hamnet. Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein tied for the most wins with 4 awards each, with Jacob Elordi scoring a surprise Best Supporting Actor victory for his performance as the creature in Frankenstein. On the television side, The Pit won Best Drama, while The Studio took Best Comedy, with Adolescence earning 4 awards, including Best Limited Series.
Haley, if this is an indicator for how this year's award season is going to go, I really like it. Last year was it was kind of a mess. It wasn't great. A lot of things won that I didn't agree with. There were, especially at the Oscars, just not things that me personally, I didn't agree with those awards. And it was like very consistent throughout the award shows. I love this. It's spread out. It's I think all of these are well deserving. I really like seeing One Battle After Another get the best film nod because I think it's worthy. And Chalamet is at his best in Marty Supreme. I just love this. And then Ashley made me watch Weapons this week, and she was like, I watched it the night before Critics' Choice, or the night of, and so I get to wake up and see Amy Madigan won for her performance in that movie. And so like horror is doing well. Like it's just cool. I'm more excited now, more invigorated for the award season because I thought it might be another stinker of a year, and I wasn't looking forward to it.
Horror director James Wan has expressed interest in directing Avatar 4 if James Cameron decides to step back from the franchise, telling Screen Rant he would love to take a crack at the billion-dollar series. Cameron has indicated he may scale back his hands-on involvement with future Avatar films to pursue other projects, potentially delegating more directorial duties to second unit directors or another filmmaker while remaining as producer.
Jay, take things that I didn't expect James Wan to say for 1000, Alex. It doesn't really seem like, I don't know. It is kind of, now, I did go look at the quote, and he did get a little bit teed up for it. It was kind of like a, yeah, sure, tell James I'm interested kind of thing, almost like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. So you have to kind of keep that. It's not like he's out there being like, please give me this. But yeah, I don't know. I just, when I think about the future of Avatar, I have a hard time, first of all, picturing anyone other than James Cameron doing it. But I really have a hard time picturing James Wan doing it. But yeah, it's again, we've kind of talked about it the last couple weeks, like what would this franchise even look like with James Cameron not at the helm anymore? And I think we're going to have to cross that bridge at some point. I just don't know who the best person to do that would be.
Yeah. It seems weird.
Yeah, Scotty, with a quick rebuttal, like my initial reaction was one of kind of scoffing at it a little bit because I just didn't see it. But then thinking back to James Wan's filmography, he's actually, he is with Cameron, an esteemed company, as being one of the few billion-dollar directors out there with that first Aquaman. So, I would argue the quality of that film, even though I enjoy it for what it is. But I would be curious to see what his sensibilities and inclusion would, what kind of impact that would have on this franchise. He's
yeah,
working underwater. Give him that.
Yeah, it's a really good call as an analog for what this movie could be. All right, Paramount Plus has renewed Mayor of Kingstown for a fifth and final season consisting of 8 episodes, down from the usual 10 episodes per season. The Taylor Sheridan crime drama starring Jeremy Renner and Edie Falco will conclude after its upcoming season, which follows the bloody season 4 finale that aired in December of 2025.
Haley, okay, great, good job. You go, Jeremy Renner.
All right. Amazon Prime Video has announced the cast for its Tomb Raider series starring Sophie Turner as Lara Croft, with Sigourney Weaver joining as Evelyn Wallace, a mysterious woman seeking to exploit Lara's talents, and Jason Isaacs as Atlas de Mornay, Lara's uncle. The series, created and showrun by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, will also feature several characters from the video game franchise, including Bill Peterson as Butler Winston and Martin Bob Simple as tech support Zip.
Scotty, I've played 3 of the most recent Tomb Raider video games, and I don't recognize a single one of these supporting characters that they're mentioning there. So I think that just kind of speaks to the fact that Tomb Raider is all about the Tomb Raider there. But, I was kind of on the fence when it came to Sophie Turner's casting as Lara Croft here, but with her tenure on Game of Thrones, she clearly has some talent there. But yeah, it seems like they're building up a stacked cast around her. So Sigourney Weaver, Jason Isaacs are some favorites. I'm not super familiar with these other fellows. I think I know Bill Patterson from some of Noah Hawley's stuff, if I'm not mistaken. But again, we have Phoebe Waller-Bridge at the helm here. I have not seen Fleabag, but I only hear the highest praise. And I did like the role that she had in the most recent Indiana Jones. So she's able to kind of tap into some of that and bring some of that to the table with Lara Croft here, I think it'll be a win. And again, we haven't really talked about Fallout Season 2 on Always Watching or this podcast or whatnot, but I still have to maintain, I think Amazon is kind of cementing itself as the go-to place for video game adaptations, and this could further cement that reputation.
A24 has released the first trailer for The Death of Robin Hood, Michael Sarnowski's reimagining of the classic Robin Hood tale. The film stars Hugh Jackman, Jodie Comer, Bill Skarsgård, and Murray Bartlett. A release date is still unconfirmed, although it's believed the film will release sometime this year.
Jay, this was a cool trailer. It seems to kind of have a really dark tone. It is violent. Hugh Jackman is perfect casting for it, and I think Hollywood's done the Robin Hood story a lot in a lot of different iterations. Like the Kevin Costner one comes to mind immediately, and I mean, there's so many of them. And from everything from comedy to action to animated to everything in between to cartoon foxes, and to see a little bit of a different spin, that's interesting. And knowing that A24 is behind it, it's a good cast. Everybody kind of looks to be like really into their roles. It's a cool trailer. And I would if it's something that you're kind of piquing your interest a little bit, like, oh, I like Hugh Jackman, or I like medieval sort of kind of type stuff, go check it out. It looks to be an interesting movie for sure.
Lionsgate has begun production on a sequel to The Housemaid, which debuted this weekend, titled The Housemaid's Secret. Named after the second book in Freida McFadden's best-selling trilogy, Sydney Sweeney is expected to return, and it's expected that Paul Feig will return to direct, from script by Rebecca Sonnenschein, who adapted The Housemaid.
Scotty, so I mentioned going to the theater 3 times this weekend, and one of those times was for The Housemaid, which I had no plans to see originally, but I heard some of the buzz regarding the twist, and it was solid. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all by any means. Sydney Sweeney's performance is a little leaves something to be desired in certain sections for me, but by and large, I did enjoy it. And the thing that always surprises me is even though I know Paul Feig directed this thing, every time I get reminded that he directed it, it's just like, it feels so anachronistic to me. Like, this does not feel like a Paul Feig joint, thinking about like Bridesmaids and the 2016 Ghostbusters and all those other things that he's done. This just feels, I actually think it speaks to his talent and his range, because while there is some humorous elements, this is by and large like a psychological thriller. So all that being said, based on the way the film ended, I kind of have an expectation, not having read the books, of where this trilogy will go. But really my big takeaway was, I talked about Sydney Sweeney's performance. Amanda Seyfried delivers a very solid performance. No surprise. She's been doing it for many years. But my big takeaway was this was one of the first times I was exposed to Brandon Sklenar. And he's a name I've seen a lot in like comment sections and stuff like that, people suggesting him for Batman or for Wolverine. And after this performance, I would say either one. Scoop this guy up. Like, he's really good and looks the part, has the chops. I'd be down for it.
Awesome.
Paul Feig also directed A Simple Favor with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, so he just likes to pit women against each other in his movies or something. He likes these thriller schlock movies. It's kind of funny.
That's great. All right. Well, that's our stories for this week. Let's go around and tell people where they can find us online, what you got going on. Jay Sisson.
You can find me at Commute the Podcast on Monday morning. So check me out over there if you've never subscribed.
Sweet. And J. Sky St. Clair.
Oh, I'm around. If you want to check out the Stranded Panda Podcast Network, Always Watching has been... they still got some stuff going on. Like I know Haley and Ashley's coverage of Outlander, right? Outlander, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always want to say like Overworlder or something like that, but Outlander. Plus the Stranger Things coverage and whatnot. But we also did Pluribus a few weeks back, and then I'm sure we'll be hopping on to do something with Fallout Season 2. But yeah, wherever you get your podcast, check out the Stranded Panda Podcast Network.
Absolutely. And Haley Hobbs.
Brian and I are back with Source Pages. We're really excited, doing some more Secret Wars coverage, and then finally getting to Fatal Alliance, Star Wars Legends novel, and then I'm really looking forward to our Wonder Man primer the week that show premieres. And then,
nice.
Ash and I are busy with Unqualified Opinions, We'll be doing Bridgerton commentary when that show drops at, I think, the end of January as well. January is a killer month this year for shows dropping, I must say. There's a lot of stuff dropping, like The Night Manager and Wonder Man and Bridgerton and The Traitors on NBC Peacock. If anybody likes that reality show, that's my jam. Anyway, so yeah, check out all those things.
Awesome. Yeah, check out me out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast this week. We just did our frame by frame of the Doomsday trailer number 3, and so that was fun just to see this. Dim sum, I don't know. Doomsday trailer number 3, and check that out. And we're gonna do, and we'll be dropping our final Infinity Saga rewatch episode with Spider-Man Far From Home. I the hardest time remembering these subtitles now. I feel like they're just too similar. All the homes are in there, and now you got Brand New Day and Brave New World. It's just, come on, Marvel.
Reclaim Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 from Raimi and Maguire. It's just, we're just going to call these Spider-Man 1, 2.
Yeah. I mean, I like the subtitle convention. I really do, but it's just too many similarities.
Yeah, they're too close.
In the Marvel ones right now. And I get the Holmes trilogy was intentional, but really, I guess really the only thing I have a problem with is the Brand New Day and Brave New World. That's really my only problem. Don't make 2 3-word titles with new in the middle and to start with B. It's stupid. And this has been my soapbox. I'm taking my plug section to just do a soapbox about a thing that annoys me every week. And so tune in next week to find out what that'll be. And we'll be back soon. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. strandedpanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.